what goes in versus what comes out. Yes. Okay, so this was one of your brainstorms at like 4 a.m. on Harvest Day, I believe.
No. This was a different one. This actually came in form of a newsletter in the mail.
And it didn't get opened at 4 a.m.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
we get newsletters from our local Christian radio station, WRGN, and Tim and Heather are good friends of ours, and they always put some kind of blurb or some kind of something in there just to connect with people. And I read this, took a picture of it so that I can read it. And the section in there, it says, "What are you eating?" And it says, "I don't mean right now."
Do you want to explain what WRGN is to people?
I said it's a Christian radio station.
Okay, sorry.
Is anybody else listening? Christian radio station, local. I said that as well. So it's a replay. Anyway. So we'll talk about that later. What are you eating? I don't mean right now, though. Maybe you're just sitting down for breakfast or dinner. Right now it's about dinner time for us. And that answer is literally on the tip of your tongue. This says, I know for me, summertime means cleaner eating, fresher foods are available, and we try to take advantage of them. Local farmers markets and friends with gardens certainly help. So then they go on to say, while healthy eating is important, Jesus said that what comes out of our mouth is even more important. In Mark 7:21 through 22, he lists the things that come from within, and it's not a pretty list. I'm going to read it in a second. So it goes on and says in verse 23, all these things that are evil that come from within, and they defile a person. So I just want to go just so that we stay on track. So in the section, it says, food doesn't go into your heart, but only passes through the stomach and then goes into the sewer. And then you add it is what comes from inside that defiles you. For from within, out of a person's heart, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, wickedness, deceit, lustful desires, envy, slander, pride, and foolishness. All these vile things come from within. They are what defile you. So in that section, obviously, they didn't write all that because they wrote and said, what did they say here? It says, check it out for yourself and see what it says. It is not a pretty list. Obviously, reading that, it is not a pretty list. Then it goes on and says, are we hopeless then? Basically, yes, without the work of Christ. And then we look into Ephesians 2:12, going back and forth so that I can get the right parts here for you. So in Ephesians 2:12, how are we to not be that defiled and lost? It says, in those days you were living apart from Christ. You were excluded from citizenship among the people of Israel, and you did not know the covenant promises God had made for them. You lived in this world without God and without hope. But now you have been united with Christ. Once you were far away from God, but now you have been brought near to him through the blood of Christ. So I'm sure we've mentioned this before or had it somewhere where you see the word KNOW, no Christ, no peace. And then also in that, they take out the K, the W, and just have the NO. So no Christ, no peace. I think that's pretty much what sums up Ephesians 2:12 there, and the part of the defiling. So that's the Bible part that really grabbed me. But we talk a lot about health in this channel, and that deceitfulness and that bad from within is also based on our health as well. What we consume or what comes out and who we surround ourselves with. Gail had mentioned.
It's more like we talk so much about health and how it has to do with food, but even last week we kind of talked about not making the food an idol. Like, that's not it, guys. If you think you're going to be 100% healthy and all you're going to change is your diet, you're still missing a really, really big piece. And I think that was, our last conversation from last week. At the very end, we talked about, what mistakes have we made that we wish we could go back and change from 10 years ago. My mistake was having a guy present the gospel to me and I laughed in his face. That was a massive mistake and I paid for it. And it's exactly what you were just reading. We developed all of those nasty things inside of us, our poor spiritual health, because we were apart from God, apart from Jesus. And so I think the lesson this week, or the conversation, is kind of just, yeah, we want to get healthy. Part of that is food. I've heard from other people secularly, not spiritually, but secularly, that body composition is 80% diet. But what about the other 20%? You're a whole person, right? You can't just fix the 80%. You need to fix a much, maybe 20% is smaller than 80% numbers wise, but I would very much argue that your spiritual health is just as important as your physical health.
I love analogies, and this just hit me. I don't think I've ever used this one before, but based on what just Gail said, 80% and 20%. How big is a huge boat, and how big is the anchor?
And the rudder.
That anchor that keeps that boat from moving, or that huge ship, is not as big as the ship. It could be 20%, but that's the 20% keeping you from going the next, whatever it is in your walk, whether it's inches, feet, miles, whatever it is. Or like you said, the rudder could be for direction. It's just that small little, we talked about it last week, was our 2 degrees of change, so that rudder, same thing. Got this huge ship, got this little thing that controls the whole thing. So that's a great analogy for me to look at and say 80-20%. 80% might be huge on what it is that your body composition of what you're eating and stuff, but all it takes is that little bit that isn't sealing it all together.
And we've just talked about the other day the impact that stress has on physical health. I heard a long time ago people talking about, stress isn't that big of a deal, or it can't, how does it actually physically affect your body? I am a living testament to the fact that stress could literally destroy your body. But the example that I heard years ago was, what about when you go on your first date and your palms get sweaty and you get rosy cheeks because you blush and you're embarrassed, or just any situation with those two things. Those two examples, the sweaty palms when you get nervous and the rosy cheeks when you blush, are perfect examples of the fact that your brain, what's happening in your mind, can absolutely affect what happens with your physical body. And so if you think about that, food is not the only thing that we need to focus on when we talk about improving our health. There's a whole other subset of things that are incredibly important, and that I think we need to pay attention to if we really want to make a lasting impact. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be other stuff besides just your body too. I mean, they say that like spirituality and prayer are what actually get people through, like, really, maybe not poor health, but what about like an injury? You need to be able to bounce back from something bad that happens, and prayer is backed by science. People who partake in prayer and people who ask for prayer are just somehow involved. They bounce back physically from disease and injury way better than the group that doesn't participate in prayer. So I don't have the exact study for that, but I know there are more than one studies out there, that talk about that. So.
We have acquaintances in our lives, in our business. We had attended a church the one time where the worship singer at the time was bouncing around on the stage like a Mexican jumping bean. And to some people that may look a little weird, but after it was over, she told her testimony how she was injured in a sporting accident and told that she would never walk again. But through prayer, through, people interceding for her to God and gathering around her, she was able to not only walk again, but to thrive again.
Dance,
so
jump.
She's going to dance and jump every which way she wants to, because that's her testimony, from being told that you'll never walk again to being able to not only walk, but jump and do and function like a normal, like she did before the injury. That's a celebration. To somebody on the outside, may look different, just like we talked about in health journeys. So somebody may look at somebody that's a little on the larger side and go, oh, look at that person. That person could have already lost 150 pounds. You don't even know about it. And they're strutting their stuff because they feel like $1 million. So all those changes, but getting that extra support besides from just the health of eating good. There's so much more to it than that. And that's the stuff that helps you sustain the eating good. Because without that missing puzzle piece, or surrounding yourself with people that are, like-minded, that can help you and support you and pray for you and keep going, it doesn't really support you. What you got?
A talking stick.
All right,
this is so perfect for like what the two of us are going through right now, because I think this time around on carnivore, guys, this is probably what, like my 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time trying carnivore. I don't even know. The first time went really well. Every time after that was like a train wreck. But it seems like every time I do it, it gets more doable. I don't want to say easier, because it's definitely not easy. But it gets more doable.
You know more of this stuff, I think.
But the whole point is, I was ready this time. Like, I'm mentally ready. I'm spiritually ready. I'm not fighting anything huge that I don't think carnivore is helping. Like, this time, the carnivore journey is not a hindrance for my spirit. Like, I don't feel beat down, like, oh, I can't have that, or, oh, I'm upset, I'm mourning because, you know, no cheesecake, whatever. I'm not there at this point. I'm past all that. I'm mentally ready. And I think that's why this time it's going so well. And for you keep saying, like, okay, you know, I'll be there, I'll join you sometime or whatever. But maybe you're not ready because there's other stuff going on outside of the diet. That's exactly the point I'm getting to, is that, like, you have a bunch of other stuff going on. So until that, like, mental part of it or spiritual part of it, whatever it is, the food doesn't matter. So, you know, it's just, it's not the most important thing for your health. You have other stuff to contend with. So the food is almost like a, I don't want to say last resort, but it's a last priority.
Yeah, it's not on it's not on there. Yeah, it's definitely on the way, but
And I have no idea why. Like, right now, the food is acceptable for me, when, you know, a couple of months back it was, I didn't want to concede that, you know, I was not going to have sugar, but now it seems like I'm fine with it. But I think the only reason I'm fine with it is because of the spiritual health part.
At peace with other things.
Yeah, right. I feel really strong with, like, where I'm at, you know, like reading the Bible and praying. And I definitely don't want to come off as cocky, you know, but I'm feel strong in that area.
I don't want to steal.
Me strength
I don't want to steal another episode, because we're going to talk about this in another one. But one of the things is about praying and fasting, and how that's a whole different thing. I don't want to steal too much on it, but getting yourself centered to fight other battles. Yeah, you know, having that full armor of God on, and having, you know, a support system. It's not always a support system where maybe it's a group, or it's, you know, a buddy on a speed dial or something. You know, God's right there. God's on the speed dial, the Bible, whatever it is that you can connect with, that can keep you grounded and keep you, like you said, keep you whole. That little 20% that you're missing, that, you know, maybe didn't help you last time. So
it's just so funny. The 20% seems smaller, but it's so much more powerful. I think, you know, it's like the fulcrum on a teeter-totter or a seesaw or something. Like, in the middle, it's balanced, but if we have like our 80-20 with the fulcrum at like 20% instead of 50%, it's like it moves so much more on the other end when you move the thing, you know. It's a bigger lever. So what else?
I don't know. I feel like if I go into the other part, I'm going to steal from another episode. I'm going to steal away from.
That's up to you.
From that.
Dead air.
Dead air. Dun 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 dun. Make some noise. Come on, don't make it dead air.
We need conversation. We don't need noise. Yeah. I don't like noise. I'm a minimalist.
You should hear what you about noise.
What kind of noise do I make?
Noise. I don't like noise.
Yeah. You have like a... But you're the noisiest one in the house at 7 a.m.
It's because somebody else is up. That's all it says. It's not even noisy. It's just because you're not noisy. There's nobody sleeping. If you were up, it wouldn't be noisy.
Everybody's sleeping at 7 a.m. except you.
Weird.
Anywho.
I really can't think of anything else. That was a huge part to bring up the part of the Bible there in those sections. And I really enjoy, you know, that newsletter that comes out from our local radio station, the Christian radio station. I really enjoy it. There's a couple of times that it's come out. I've cut out articles, hung them up. I think just like a prayer closet, you know, you put these things up there because they're memories. That's why we write it on our Bibles. That's why we, you know, page mark.
That's why Luke has sticky notes on the wall in the bathroom, and the note board in the grow room, and everywhere there's little sticky notes.
Because when something grabs you, it's like, all right. And then it's always this way. It's not a memory, it's a visual, and everybody learns different. Some people learn with I'm visual and analogies and doing things like that. Gail she likes to read and analyze things that way. I need to actually have that reminder. I'm the type of person that would have like a bracelet on, that you'd have to snap yourself or tie the string around your finger and be like, what was that there for? Oh, that's right. I like that kind of stuff. That's what grounds me of to doing it. But as far as the health journey, Gail's doing fantastic. And yes, today's been a fantastic day of love poured out on Gail.
It has been, guys. He's a great guy.
I don't know about that, but
sometimes I get a little sassy with my attitude.
She said that I wish that I would love her like this every day. And I said, I do love you like this every day. It's that.
And I said, you don't manifest it differently. Like this every day. But I will take today and be thankful.
But I think that ties into another thing. I think that, on your health journey, it manifests in different ways.
Absolutely.
You've had days. What did your journey manifest into yesterday?
Not good.
What do you mean? You said it was.
What do you ask?
What did you eat all day? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, creamy Jello.
So it manifested. Your health journey manifested into creamy Jello yesterday.
Yesterday was a fat fast. So, you've heard of like water fasts. There's a thing as a fat fast, and all you have all day long is literally fat. And I am usually not a dairy person at all. I am quite lactose intolerant and feel horrible when I eat dairy. But for whatever reason, I was craving a lot of fat yesterday, I guess. And we got Jello. And instead of mixing a little packet of Jello with 2 cups of water, I did a cup of water and a cup of cream. So basically 2 cups of cream with 2 little packets of Jello and 2 cups of water. And that's all I ate all day yesterday. But it worked out ridiculously well, people. I was actually thinking, like, boy, do I keep this like a dirty little secret? Because it worked so well. I felt so good.
And now that could be different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's the whole, we're not doctors, even though we stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
Yeah, total Holiday Inn moment with the fatty Jello yesterday. But it was great. Yeah. It was awesome.
And you still came out down on your scale.
Yeah. Yeah, which we know isn't the most important thing, but it feels really good.
Non-scale victories.
Yeah, when you're like 30 pounds up and you see the number going down, 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 it is really, really nice to see. So, yeah.
So, again, things can manifest in a different way that you don't even think are going to plan that way.
And that's another thing, too, going back to the stress. Okay, let's just say you get your diet totally right, and there is no movement on the scale. You're not feeling any better. Your joints are still sore as could be. Your back hurts, your feet hurt. You're still dealing with the ailment or whatever that is the manifestation of stress. Why are you not seeing anything move? I think it's because of the stress. And I think right now is arguably probably one of the most stressful times of my life. But I think I've really come into a way of depending on God. And I'm at the point, guys, where I can't really do anything else but pray. But I think that's a really good place to be because it takes a lot of pressure off me. And at least I have the Holy Spirit to connect with through prayer. And I feel like I'm doing something meaningful, even though I can't really make headway tangibly, like in real life right now. I feel like there's nothing else better that I could possibly be doing other than praying and reading the Bible. So for me, even though there's not a lot of movement in, what's taking place in the real world, I know that God is working behind the scenes, and I find tremendous peace in praying. And I wholeheartedly believe a lot of my other journeys with carnivore and just trying to get healthy and get my blood sugar down and stuff like that, I believe the reason I have not been successful, both in that I didn't see anything changing physically or the way I felt, but also that I don't feel I was able to stick with it because I was so stressed out and there was no peace. So it was like, what was the point? And I think that's kind of where you're at now. For whatever reason, I've been able to get past my dark cloud in my mind and overcome the mental and the spiritual part of it.
Yeah, and I'm like Linus from Charlie Brown. It's the cloud, holding on to my dirty blanket, just I think that's who it is. I don't remember, but you know what I'm talking about.
Is it Snoopy that flies around with the little aviator glasses?
Yeah.
That's me. I am flying so high right now, spiritually. And I just feel good about it. And this time, I'm not having near the trouble with carnivore. I'm enjoying it. I'm like, ideally, you know, like some people think about carnivore and they're like, oh, that's so restrictive. Guys, Jello, it was sugar-free strawberry Jello. I know the sugar-free isn't great, but I'm not dogmatic about it. I don't care. And yesterday was fantastic. I ate the fat. I felt great. I woke up this morning like another pound down, and it was just, I feel like I have options. And trust me, that was like in what, 28 or 29 days now. That was the first time I've had like an artificial sweetener.
And, and carnivore, like she said, is not, you know, you think it's restrictive, but think about how many things are meat based.
Yeah.
All right. You've got beef, you've got lamb, you've got chicken, you've got pork.
Yeah.
You've got every kind of fish, seafood, you know, crustacean. Yeah. And then you use the fats in between there. So butter is obviously one of the biggest ones. Dairy's a
lot of butter.
Dairy's
not
a lot
so much straight dairy.
Dairy's a little iffy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on carnivore realize that when they remove dairy, you know, their weight part
they
drops.
have a lot better luck. Yeah.
But you've got your tallow, you know, your fats in there, and just fat based on the meats and stuff that are in there. So salmon, if you keep the skin and the fat on salmon, fantastic. So it's not as restrictive as you think. And spices.
And it doesn't have to be like perfect. You know what I mean? The other day when you made that, what is it with the cream and the Parmesan?
Alfredo sauce.
Alfredo sauce for the chicken for me. I really wanted basil microgreens. We didn't have any. I went out in the grow room and there was nothing left. I think that was on a Thursday or something after we harvested. And I was just like, oh, you know, I would love a little sprig of fresh basil. But
yeah, and that's not, you know, we say like dirty carnivore because that's what it gets labeled as. You know, if you're not strict 100% the meat and fat. As Gail was talking, what triggered into my head was the cartoon movie called Osmosis Jones. If anybody's ever seen it, it's one of my favorite movies just because in my mind, that's what's going on inside of our body. Is all the little cells working together. There's like a police department. There's, you know, like
the cleanup crew.
Yeah, everybody's doing whatever. But when you're too busy or you're too stressed and there's too much going on, then everybody's on deck doing that. And they're not doing the healthy part, and they're not taking care of other parts, not taking care of the other ailments that are going on inside of us. So, you know, when you're weak in one spot, or you know, everything is being forced into like that stress, and your body is trying to deal with the stress, your body can't work on the health part of it. So I think that's where that comes into. We're talking about manifest. That's where the manifestation comes into and becomes something unhealthy, and it has nothing to do with food. And you could be eating the healthiest that you can possibly be, but if you are a stress ball of anxiety and just stuff like, you know, or not, inflammation, or if you've got an attitude of doom and gloom, you know, you're like grouchy Smurf, you know, where it's like, oh, hey, look, sunny days. I hate sunny days. You know, it's like everything is just there. It's not, you know, oh, look at the beautiful butterflies. I hate beautiful butterflies. You know, if you're just going to be that way, then you're going to manifest into a different, you know, part of it. You may think that, all right, I really do love butterflies, but for right now, it's kind of like the one where I said, you know, oh, my day's going great, and then all of a sudden I want to drive the car into a tree because I'm, you know, it's how are you feeling? But on the overall, if you can get it all together and take the 80%, the 20%, and build on it and try to get to that 100% and make yourself complete, the journey will be so much easier, you know, when you're not having that anchor hold you down, even though that anchor is smaller than
the ship.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That was a good add-on. See, we got some more in there.
Yeah, I think that was a great example of you just can't make food the idol, you know? I mean, it's a huge part, but it's not the only part. So acknowledging that, you know, and then if you're at the point where you're wondering, you know, why aren't things changing? Why don't I feel better? Why don't I look different? And you're just still focusing on the food, you're just going to compound your stress and end up, you know, making the whole situation worse. So I think.
So if you got any ideas that you want to talk about, or if you're stressed about something, you want to get it off, you want some prayer, throw it at us. We love to pray for people because we, again, feel that coming together and praying together will help relieve that. Drop something in the comments for people as you see this, as you watch it, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it later. say hello, talk to us.
You know what I wanted to say? So like toward the end, we always kind of say who we are and we talk about the chocolates and stuff. So obviously, guys, Back Mountain Microgreens here, Luke and Gail, and we grow microgreens. We deliver them locally. We make chocolates with 5 clean ingredients. But I want to know, what is your favorite, what do you call it, percent cacao for dark chocolate?
Yeah.
So we make dark chocolate. We were just at a show a couple of weeks ago, and we were asking people, you know, what next flavor would you guys be interested? Because we only have 2 flavors right now. Our batch 1 is kind of like our foundation base
The solid
recipe.
dark chocolate.
And then batch 3, we don't have batch 2. We skip the even numbers, so we go right from batch 1 to batch 3. Batch 3 is just the addition of black walnuts, so 1 extra ingredient. But I want to know 2 things. What do you guys want to see for our next flavor? And also, the percent cacao right now is 82. And what we found from a lot of people is that's a little too bitter. And so if you're not eating a lot of sugar and you have our 82% dark chocolate, it tastes like
tastes sweet.
Yeah, it is amazing. But if you are not
a sugar consumer,
if you are having sugar on a regular basis, 82% dark chocolate is a touch on the bitter side. So we kind of want to see, like, where is that sweet spot? What do you guys like? So I'm almost more interested in what percentage cacao you guys would rather, almost more importantly than what recipe.
And not milk chocolate. So don't throw that out there.
Luke is against milk. I love Hershey Kisses. So I try and get Luke to entertain the concept of milk chocolate. Yeah. But no, it's not even on the table. Yeah. So
don't ask that.
Yeah.
Flavor of what you would add to dark chocolate and how sweet you would have your dark chocolate. So what percentage? Right now we're at 82. We've seen that most people are like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Is where they
60s almost tastes like
milk chocolate.
Yeah, milk chocolate. Sweet. You know, there's like no bitterness whatsoever, and it's pretty darn sweet. So I'm just kind of curious. 60, 65, 70, 75. Definitely think 80 is a little bit too much.
That's still close to where we are.
Yeah.
And then flavor-wise, we've kicked around a lot of ideas. We've heard some different stuff. But first time, like Gail's asked out on a video to get some feedback. Throw it out there. Drop us a comment, and we'll go from there.
All right, guys. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.